You ever wanted to control magic and reality with your mind? Ever wanted to teleport around and fulfill your Nightcrawler or Jumper fantasies? You guys remember that movie? Ever wanted to delve so deeply into your psychic abilities that you warp your own body and mind into a terrifying amalgamation of flesh? Then this new class might just be for you. Hello and welcome to the dungeon. I'm your host, Dungeon Master Vibe, and this is the Psion. The Psion is a brand new class for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, 2024-25 edition, complete with 4 subclasses, full spell lists including new spells, and a new branch of feats for any character called Wild Talents, which we probably won't get into in this video, but just know they are unique feats that give bonus spells and a bit of psychic flair to your character. So, what does the Psion bring to the table? The Psion is a full caster and the third ever intelligence-based class for the game, not counting the Mystic, and that may be a video for another time. As such, they have all the usual to be expected of a full caster: d6 hit points, saves in intelligence and wisdom, proficiency in 2 skills from Arcana, Insight, Intimidation, Investigation, Medicine, Perception, and Persuasion, proficiency in simple weapons, no armor training, and some basic small pointy objects and helpful adventuring gear for starting equipment. All pretty standard so far, but the true difference from this and other spellcasters becomes quickly apparent once you see how playstyle differs with their subclasses. More on that later. Psions are not prepared casters like clerics and wizards, instead following a spell prep more akin to the sorcerer, getting a limited number of spells known per level, and able to swap them out on a level up. They reach all the way to 9th level spells like most full casters. Just like with sorcerers, they have a number of other unique abilities both reliant and not on their spell list, that more than makes up for their limited spells and slots. The first of these abilities being their unique psionic spellcasting. This feature allows you to cast your psion spells that require verbal or material components without the use of verbal or material components, allowing you to silently cast any of your class's spells so long as it doesn't have a listed material cost or the item isn't consumed in the spell's casting. This gives you even better use of things like message, as you can now truly cast it straight from your brain without anyone noticing. Just be sure not to startle anyone. Psionic power. Here is where we get into the real unique aspects of the Psion. Starting at level 1, you gain a pool of dice called your psionic energy dice, which you spend on specific class features. You start with 4 and regain 1 on a short rest and all on a long rest. These dice increase in number and size as you level up, starting at d6s and by level 17 becoming d12s. The first ability you get to spend these dice on are Telekinetic Prepare and Telepathic Connection. Telekinetic Prepare allows you, as a bonus action, to roll the energy dice, target a creature that is large or smaller than you within 30 feet, and on a failed strength save, push them a number of feet straight away from you, a distance equal to 5 times the number rolled. The other is Telepathic Connection. Without any requirements, you have telepathy up to 5 feet, and as a bonus action, you can expend 1 psionic energy die and roll it. For a number of minutes equal to your psion level, the range of your telepathy increases by a number of feet equal to 10 times the number rolled. Honestly, between the two, I think I'd rather spend my energy die on Telekinetic Prepare, as I don't know how vital it is to spend 1 to maybe get an ally in range of my telepathy in combat, especially when even outside of combat I can just as easily and subtly cast Message, which you have access to as a Psion at level 1. The last of your level 1 abilities is Subtle Telekinesis. This feature grants you Mage Hand without taking up one of your cantrips, and the Mage Hand requires no somatic components, and the Spectral Hand is invisible. Level 2. At level 2, you gain Psionic Modes and Psionic Disciplines. Psionic Disciplines are extra little powers you get, your choice of, similar to a Warlock's Invocations, or a Sorcerer's Metamagic. You gain 2 at level 2, and can replace them at level up. You gain 2 more at level 10 and 17. Admittedly, though, looking them over, it isn't hard for me to choose which ones, as a few are just based on description alone vastly better than the others, such as Psionic Backlash, which as a reaction to being hit with an attack, you spend 1 energy die to roll 2 energy die and subtract that number from the attack roll, and afterwards the attacker makes a wisdom save, and on a fail, take psychic damage equal to the amount rolled on the 2 psionic energy die, keeping in mind that your energy die are d6s and increase up to d8s at level 5, all the way to d12s at level 17. This ability is very strong and I see as a must-have compared to other options, such as Insinuation, which costs 2 energy die to roll 1 and subtract that total from a target's save against one of your illusion spells. At level 2, you also gain psionic modes. As a bonus action, you for 1 minute take on an attack or defense mode. You can use this feature twice and regain uses on a long rest. In attack mode, damage from weapon attacks or psion spells ignores resistance to psychic damage, and when you roll damage, you can expend 1 psionic energy die to reroll a number of damage dice up to your intelligence modifier and must use the new roll. In defense mode, you are granted resistance to psychic damage. In addition, when you fail an intelligence, wisdom, or charisma save, you can take a reaction to expend 1 psionic energy die, roll it, and add the number rolled to the saving throw, potentially turning a failure into a success. Now, between the two, I would much rather make use of defense mode, as that is 3 saving throws you can now gain a potentially much needed boost towards. Meanwhile, I don't know how important it is to ignore psychic resistance, which isn't a very common resistance. And to reroll a few of your damage die is nice for a potential damage boost, but really only with certain subclasses of this class. There definitely is use for it, and some subclasses change functionality, but from level 2, I'd most likely be using defense mode. Now at level 3, you gain your subclass choosing from the Metamorph, Psywarper, Psykinetic, and Telepath, each of which will vastly change how you play this class, so we'll go more into those in a bit. And of course at level 4, you get your first feature or ability score improvement, and if you haven't already gotten a wild talent from your background, as these can be gained from backgrounds, I would highly recommend choosing one of these for some extra psionic spells for free and a buff to suit your subclass. At level 5, you gain Psionic Restoration. With this, after finishing a short rest, you can regain expended psionic energy dice equal to half your number of dice rounded down. You can't do this again until you finish a long rest. This grants a nice little buff to your use of psionic powers, especially if you chose any psionic disciplines that have a higher cost. Though it is worth pointing out, by level 5, you do already have 6 energy die, and they are now d8s instead of d6s, so be sure to use these often to get the full benefit. At level 7, you gain Psionic Surge. With this, when you roll initiative, you can expend 1 of your hit dice and regain 1 expended use of psionic modes. In addition, after you roll 1 or more psionic energy die, you can expend 1 of your hit point die and treat any roll of 1, 2, or 3 on the psionic energy die as a 4. This feature allows you to use your class features more often and to greater effect, but at the cost of potentially lowering your hit points regain, which can be dangerous when playing as a class with such a low health pool. Like other 2024 classes, you get an epic boon at level 19, and finally at level 20 you get Enkindled Life Force. With this, once per turn, when you expend 1 psionic energy die and roll it for a psion feature or psionic discipline, you can expend 2 of your hit point dice to roll 2 additional psionic energy dice and add the numbers rolled to the total. This is an interesting feature, and how strong it is pretty dependent on what features you're using, especially in regards to disciplines. For example, if you take the Biofeedback discipline, you can gain up to 3d12 of temporary hit points after casting a necromancy spell. Pair this with 2024's version of Armor of Agathis, and you can maintain those hit points and damage armor for a good while. This brings us to subclasses. These completely alter how you play this class, even compared to a lot of other classes in the game, with a vastly different playstyle that matches perfectly with their subclass spell list. First off, we have the Metamorph. The Metamorph lets you use your psychic abilities to manipulate your own flesh and mold it, granting you a number of organic weapons, as well as a spell list that focuses on healing and features to improve that healing. Your primary feature with this class is organic weapons. With this feature, anytime you make an attack action or opportunity attack, you can transform a limb into one of the following weapons. Bone Blade, which is a blade made of bone, counts as a simple finesse weapon and it deals 1d8 piercing damage. And if at least one ally is within 5 feet of the target, you gain advantage on the attack. Flesh small, your fist and arm become a hardened mass of flesh and bone, counting as a simple melee weapon and deals 1d10 bludgeoning damage. And the hit creature has disadvantage on the next strength or con save before the start of its next turn. And last, we have the Viscera Launcher. Your hand and forearm becomes a crossbow made of muscles and sinew that fires bolts of bile. This counts as a simple ranged weapon with a normal range of 30 and a long range of 90. It deals 1d6 acid damage, and on a hit, once per turn can deal an additional 1d6 acid damage. Gross, but also kinda cool. Now, all of this very much transforms your squishy caster into a bit of a melee glass cannon. However, the other level 3 ability firmly shows how you can make this work. Your other ability at level 3 is Extended Limbs, which, as a bonus action, allows you to spend an energy die, and for the next minute, your reach increases by 5 feet, your speed increases by 5 feet, and when you cast a touch spell, you make the range of the spell 10 feet. So, the way I see this work is you plant the party tank in front of you, as you usually would, and you simply stand directly behind them at all times, either attacking the enemy or buffing them with your spells, which you can do even better by level 6. At level 6, you gain extra attack and Quicken Healing. With Quicken Healing, when you cast Cure Wounds, you can expend 2 energy die to change the casting time to a bonus action for this casting. When you do, you can roll one of the energy die and add the number rolled to the total numbers of hit points restored. Now, considering the buff all healing spells received in 2024, this is a pretty good support ability that allows you to keep pressure on the enemy and keep your party tank standing. At level 10, you gain Mutable Form, which extends the duration of Extended Limbs to 10 minutes, and gives your choice of one of these additional effects which lasts until Extended Limbs ends. Stony Epidermis gives advantage on con save to maintain concentration, and you choose to become resistant to your choice of acid, bludgeoning, cold, fire, lightning, piercing, poison, slashing, or thunder damage. A nice option to keep your spells up. Unnatural Flexibility. You gain +2 bonus to AC, and your body, along with any equipment you're wearing or carrying, becomes pliable, allowing you to move through any space as narrow as 1 inch. And you can spend 5 feet of movement to escape from non-magical restraints or end the grappled condition. These are all pretty good options, and you gain your choice of one at no extra cost every time you activate Extended Limbs. And with level 14, you gain your final ability with Metamorph, Life-Bending Weapons. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with your organic weapon, you can expend 1 psionic energy die and roll it. Each creature of your choice in a 10-foot emanation originating from you gains hit points equal to the number rolled plus your intelligence modifier. Additionally, one creature of your choice in that area takes necrotic damage equal to the number rolled. This is a pretty good ability. As a whole, I'd say this is the most aggressive playstyle of the subclasses, which is interesting considering it's for the subclass that also takes the role as a healer. The next subclass is the Psi Warper, which focuses on enhanced teleportation abilities, allowing you to teleport yourself or others across distances for better positioning or putting them in or out of harm's way. Their spell list, of course, focuses on mobility as well as adding in shatter for good measure to flavor into the idea of ripping open a vacuum in space. Their main spells are those that focus on mobility though, so pretty much every teleportation spell becomes available to them. Following into the theme of the class, your first level 3 feature is teleportation. With this, you can cast Misty Step without expending a spell slot. You can use this ability once in between long rest. Alternatively, you can explore this use by expending 1 psionic energy die with no action required. This gives immediate high mobility option, especially with how rules for casting spells as actions and bonus actions work in 2024, as if you don't have to use a spell slot to cast this, it does not limit what other spell you can cast with your main action, giving a lot of nice setup for big damaging or supportive spells on your turn. At level 3, you also get Warp Propel. With this, when a target fails a save against Telekinetic Propel, instead of pushing it, you teleport the target to an unoccupied space you can see within 30 feet of you that is horizontal to you. This is a very quick boost to your level 1 ability, giving you even better chance to put a creature in a more advantageous or hazardous position. At level 6, you gain Warp Space. With this, when you cast Shatter, you can expend 1 energy die to modify the spell to increase its radius to 20 feet, and creatures that fail the spell's save are pulled straight towards the center of the sphere, ending in an unoccupied space as close to the center as possible. Between this and its level 3 feature, the Psywarper shows itself to be a very spell-casting heavy class, with the majority of its features alternating the mechanics of its spells and casting, with a lot of its abilities keeping you and enemies away from each other while you bombard them with spells, which you can do even more of with the other level 6 feature, Teleporter Combat. Teleporter Combat makes it so immediately after you cast Misty Step, you can cast one of your side cantrips with a casting time of an action as part of the bonus action. This has the potential to be very good, and if paired with the level 3 feature Teleportation, makes it so you can cast Misty Step, a cantrip, and any of your other leveled spells all in one turn. Pair this with any number of spellcasting feats, especially any that can boost the cantrip's power or options, you are becoming a real menace by level 6. At level 10, you gain Duplicator's Target. This allows you to, as a reaction, swap places with a wielding creature within 30 feet of you when you are targeted by an attack roll, making the swapped creature the new target of the attack. This feature really shows off the difference in play between this subclass and the Metamorph. Where the Metamorph wants to be in the thick of things, the Warper wants to do everything you can to stay away from enemies and harass them from afar. This also further showcases the role of this class and how it meshes very nicely with your party, and in particular your tank, as in either of these subclasses, you do well to at least keep close to the beefier member of your party, if not to buff them, to have them keep any attacks off of you. And the last of the Warper features is Mass Teleportation, and it's a fun one. As a magic action, you can spend 4 Psionic Energy die and choose huge or smaller creatures within 30 feet of yourself, up to a number of creatures equal to your intelligence modifier, with a minimum of 1. Each of those creatures is teleported to an unoccupied space you can see within 150 feet of you. An unwilling creature that succeeds on a wisdom save is unaffected. This is a very fun ability and very useful. It costs 4 of your energy die. By level 14, you have 10, and have new ways to replenish them. Additionally, by level 14, it's not that hard to have maxed out intelligence, meaning you can target up to 5 creatures, be they friend or enemy, and teleport them anywhere you can see within 150 feet of you. You can just teleport the entire party away from danger, or target a bunch of enemies and drop them from 150 feet in the air, which, if there is a visible hole in the ground somewhere, or you're elevated in a tower or something, you can put the enemies at maximum fall distance, potentially instant killing them. This ability has a lot of potential, but also I could see ways to export it, so I wonder if they will keep it as is come a final release. We've had our teleporter and our flesh warping healer, so next up is someone that can move objects with the mind and make force fields. The Psykinetic controls those psionic powers like a malleable force. They bend their telekinetic energies into sturdy barriers and strike with the force of a battering ram. The spell list is a nice mix of damage dealing area control and defense spells to protect themselves or allies, with spells like Shield, Thunderwave, and many of the new spells included in this UA. At level 3, you gain Telekinetic Techniques. This ability gives another new use of Telekinetic Propel, allowing you to impose your choice of one of the following effects on the target. Boost increases the target's speed by 10 feet until the start of your turn as you give them a little shove from the back. And Disorient makes it so they can't take opportunity attacks until the start of its next turn. And Telekinetic Bolt makes it so if the target fails the saving throw, it takes force damage equal to the number rolled on the energy die. At level 6, you gain Empowered Attack Mode, which is pretty much the only reason I see to use attack mode instead of defense mode. With this, you gain a fly speed of 60 feet and can hover. Additionally, when you cast a Psion spell, you can add your intelligence modifier to 1 damage roll of that spell. Your other level 6 feature is Rebounding Field. This feature modifies your shield spell. When your use of shield causes the activating attack to miss, you can spend an energy die to launch the force back at the attacker. When doing so, you roll 2 energy die, and the attacker makes a dex save. On a failed save, they take force damage equal to the amount rolled, and you gain temp HP equal to that amount. On success, the attacker only takes half as much damage. This further sets up this Psykinetic as to be one of the primary damage dealing subclasses, as even with its more defensive moves, it gains some decent attack power. Level 10 starts making use of one of the new spells, so be sure if playing this to take a look at the new stuff. With this, when you cast Telekinetic Crush, you can expend 1 Psionic Energy die to modify the spell so that whether a creature fails or succeeds on the saving throw against the spell, its speed is halved until the start of your next turn. To give some context for the feature, the spell Terrakinetic Crush has a casting time of 1 action, a range of 120 feet, verbal components, which means for the Psion it is completely silent, and a duration of instantaneous. As for what it does, you create a field of crushing telekinetic force in a 30-foot cube within range. Each creature in the area makes a strength save, and on a failed save, a target takes 5d6 force damage and has the prone condition. On a success, they only take half as much damage. So, with this feature, on a success, they still only take half damage, but also having the speed reduced by half, which is still pretty good, seeing as though in some cases, you don't want a creature to be prone, but it's always nice to slow them down. Finally, at level 14, you gain Heightened Telekinesis. When you cast Telekinesis, you can expend 4 psionic energy die to modify the spell so that it doesn't require concentration. If you do so, the spell's duration becomes 1 minute for that casting, and you can target gargantuan creatures and objects. This is huge. Telekinesis is already a pretty fun spell, but with this, you now don't have to concentrate on it, which means you can instead cast this and also concentrate on another spell. On top of that, being able to target gargantuan creatures means you can now force choke dragons with your mind. And last but not least, the Telepath. With this spell list and features, they fit the role of more of a utility support, not providing healing, but providing ways to buff and debuff and maintain contact with the party. Their spell list supports this playstyle, having no actual damage options in this spell list, but lots of really nice spells for stopping enemies, such as Bane and Counterspell. As for level 3 features, you get Mind Infiltrator and Telepathic Hub. Mind Infiltrator allows you to, when casting Detect Thoughts, you can spend 2 energy die to modify the spell so that the spell doesn't require spell components or concentration. Additionally, the target does not know you're probing its mind if it fails the wisdom save. The second half of this ability is the best part, as it allows you a very safe and useful version of the spell, as you can extract information without ever alerting the target. Your other level 3 feature is Telepathic Hub, which finally adds a decent use of telepathic connection, increasing your passive telepathy to 10 feet, and when you spend the energy die to increase the range for the duration, you can simultaneously contact a number of creatures equal to 1 plus the number rolled on the psionic energy die. This is a much better version of the telepathic connection, as it allows for an early game way to keep sneaky and silent contact with your allies, perfect for infiltration scenes. At level 6, you get yet another reason to use defense mode over attack mode with Empowered Defense Mode. While your defense mode is active, whenever you make a saving throw, you add 1d4 to the save. This is without spending an energy die, and if you do spend an energy die, that's adding the 1d4 and your energy die to the roll, which at this level would be a d8. But wait, there's more. On top of that, you can also extend the 1d4 benefit to creatures you are telepathically connected with, using your telepathic connection. This is a very nice defense feature that helps both you and allies, and with it, telepathic connection finally becomes the better option over telekinetic propel. At level 6, you also get Potent Thoughts. You add your intelligence modifier to the damage you deal with any Psion cantrip. It's pretty basic ability, but does add a nice damage buff to a pretty defense and support heavy subclass. At level 10, you gain Telepathic Bolstering. This further enhances your telepathy to a range of 30 feet. Additionally, when a creature you can see within range of this telepathy fails an ability check or attack roll, you can use a reaction to expend an energy die and add the number rolled to their d20. If the check is still a fail, you do not lose the energy die. This is a pretty nice and safe support feature, giving a lot of chances to succeed and pretty much no drawback to failure. And the final feature is Scramble Minds, gained at level 14. With this, when you cast Confusion, you can expend 4 energy dice to modify the spell, so that the radius of the spell's sphere becomes 30 feet. In addition, creatures under the effect of the spell roll 2d10s, and you choose which roll determines their behavior on their turns. This, like the other level 14 abilities, is really good. Not only does it vastly increase the range, and in doing so the number of creatures affected by Confusion, an already debilitating spell, and on top of that, you gain some control on the effects they take on during the Confusion, giving you the chance to only allow them to take the actions you want them to, or at the least keep them from taking actions that would be preferable for them. And that's it. That is the UA of the Psion, D&D's potential new class. Between this and the Artificer getting added to the game soon, I am optimistic with these new additions added to the game. This class in particular not only adds another nice intelligence class option, but frankly just seems fun to play. The flavor is nice, the abilities are good, but not very broken. And most importantly, it just seems fun. I myself hope to play it in a game soon, so we'll see how the class feels in actual play. For now, thank you very much for watching, and be sure to check out the UA yourself. It is available for free from D&D Beyond, and has more items we didn't go over in this video, such as the new spells and reworked spells, as well as the wild talent feats. I've been your Dungeon Master Vibe, and I'll see you next time in the dungeon.